for many people, it's really important for them to know how long this recovery journey is going to take. They don't want to be in pain and they just want to get to the other side and be done with it. So I want to share what my experience, strength, and hope has been through this recovery journey so that you have a sense of what it's like as you embark on this journey to discover and live in the greatest version of yourself. And this is a common question, especially for those who are in a lot of distress and in pain, and this might be their first crack at really doing this type of work. And almost everybody will say something along the lines of, when will this be over? When can I just be normal? I said that to my counselor. Same thing, like, when will I be done? And I want, whenever a new client comes in and asks that question, I always ask them this, and I'm going to ask that of you. I ask two questions. The first one is this. If I asked you to write a one-page essay on a topic that you're totally passionate about, that you know everything about, how long do you think it would take you? And the second question is, if I asked you to write another essay about a topic you know nothing about, maybe even never heard of it, how long do you think that would take you? Well, almost always, people will tell me if it's a topic they know something about, it would only take them 30 to 60 minutes. Now, if it's a topic they know nothing about, maybe even never heard of, their estimates are anywhere from 1 hour to 1 day. All right? Well, I'm here to bring you into reality, regardless of which one it is. It takes all of us about 10 to 12 years to write a decent one-page essay. Let me walk you through why that is. Remember, for us to write a one-page essay, what was the first thing we had to do? We had to learn the alphabet. We had to learn the shapes of the letters. We had to learn to draw them, and remember the lines? You had to fit everything in the lines. That took a while. Then you had to learn that there's 26 of them, and they go in a specific order. The next step was you had to learn how to group them together so that they formed a word. Then you had to learn how to spell them. Then you had to learn how to put them together so that they formed a sentence, and then put more of them together so the sentences got more complex. Then you had to learn punctuation, then paragraph, theme, story. Like, it's a tremendous amount of information that we need to learn just to write a one-page essay. And so by the time most of us are a senior in high school or in the first couple years of college, that's when we can write a decent one-page essay. Now, I bring that up because as humans, we so often minimize how hard it is for us to learn things. It takes a tremendous amount of time. Now, I also bring that up because I want to point out something else. Who, in your life experience, is very impatient and wants things right away? Think of Christmas. Who constantly asks, when is Christmas coming? Is it tomorrow? Is it tomorrow? When's my birthday coming? How many more days? How many more hours? How many more weeks? Do you mean it's a couple months? My God, that'll last forever. A child, right? Now, I'm not here to demean you. I'm just here to bring truth and responsibility in. And so the reason we all want it done and over with is our childhood trauma. We're stuck in a childlike state. We just want it over with. We don't, we're impatient, like a child who wants Christmas presents. Like, I get it. We all want the Christmas present. I've waited the days. I've been a good kid. There's no coal in my stocking, and now I just get to live happy and free and never in pain again. Well, that's why we have to do this work, is because we're stuck in an immature state, and we're not in adult maturity and moderation. And when we're in that place, we recognize the analogy I gave you. My God, he's right. It can take 8 to 12 years just to write a one-page essay that's decent. It's a long, just an essay. Wow. So what about my recovery? How long would that take? So that's why I wanted to do this, is to bring you into reality that this is a lifestyle change, that we're making a commitment that the life we've been living doesn't work, and we can't sustain the consequences of not doing the work. The divorces are too much. The addictions are too much. The depression and sadness and self-sabotage and all the things that brought you here, to put that off any longer, you can't live with that consequence. Now, I get that early in the journey, it's, there's a projection that it's going to be fearful and terrible and all of that, which once we start, we know that isn't the case. But that's very normal because we are in a childlike state. And so there's nothing wrong with that. So I want to affirm you. You're normal, you're healthy, you're right where you're supposed to be in the journey. Now, how long does this take? Well, that's an individual process. In general, you need to commit to yourself that it's going to take 1 to 3 years to feel a sense of stability, for that sense of, I want it over with, and oh my God, I'm so afraid of this, I don't want to do this, and all of that to go away. And to be perfectly honest, the first year is very difficult. I'd love to say it's just wine and roses, but that's just not true. And there's a reason for that. We need it that way. We would not want it any different. And here's why. Because of our childhood trauma, all of us learn to suppress, repress, deny, minimize, and condone all of our pain. We've never experienced it. We've never faced it. Well, I want you to picture yourself learning the alphabet. Or even a better analogy is this. Think of when a baby tries to walk. What do? They usually crawl over and grab a hold of a coffee table, and they steady themselves. And then they take one step and wham, right on their butt. And then they do it again, and maybe they bump their head on the table and they cry. Like the analogy of a child walking fits this perfectly. They're miserable, they're frustrated, they're angry, they hurt themselves, but they just need to walk. And that's where you are right now. You need to walk, but it's going to be a pain in the rear end. Many times you're going to fall on your butt until you learn to develop the quad muscles and the hamstrings and the calves, and how the toes can dig in to hold us, and how then the glute muscles. And that's what this whole process is letting go of that coffee table and learning how to stand on your own. I can tell you my own journey. I remember when I first started, right where you are, same question to my counselor of how long is this going to take? And he told me, based on his assessment of me, 3 to 5 years. And I literally, without hesitation, I just swore at him. I said, blank you, like very aggressively. Because I figured I'd been there a month or two. I was like, I got a couple more months. I'm done. Well, I knew immediately when I totally committed to my recovery that I got a picture and a feeling reality that the process was I was going to get over the hill. I was going to get to the other side. Well, I didn't get to the other side until after my second divorce. This is my, contemplating suicide, until I discovered how all of this worked. I didn't find peace and really the ability to live in maturity and moderation for 12 years. And during that 12 years, I sat down and thought about it. Over a 10-year period, I probably saw him once a week for 7 of those 10 years. Like, I worked my tail off. I read the books. I filled out I worked very hard. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take you 12 years. It's your journey. You might take 3 years. You might take 20 years. But here's the thing. If that scares you, or you're embarrassed of how long it'll take you, that's a childlike state. Because now we're comparing, we're looking for outside validation. I have no shame that it took me 12 years. If it had taken me 20, who cares? Like, I'm still on the journey. I still screw up nonstop. I'm on the other side though, and I have peace. That's the difference. I am perfectly okay with being imperfect and broken, and I make a ton of mistakes, and it's okay. I love them. And so for me, this is me sharing my experience, strength, and hope. What changed for me, the work that I did and all the time that it took me to get over the hump. What happened to me when I got to the other side is I was able to internalize 3 truths. 1, that recovery is substantial, but it's never complete. We never fully heal. That's because, two, we are human and we are limited. There's just only so much we can do. And that leads, and the recognition of that leads to number three. Because of those first two truths, we learn to be okay with everything not being okay. So right now you're in that, more childlike state, and you're desperate for everything to be okay. And so you can expect 1 to 3 years before you get off of the coffee table and have some stability. Now, whether you get to the other side is truly up to you and your ultimate goals of what the greatest version of yourself is you want to live in. If you're committed like I was, you keep going and you get to the other side. So when you think about these master classes, like especially the Complete Emotional Mastery Method, which is all the classes, you want to be thinking about you're committing to 1 to 2 years, and your goal is to try and work through those master classes 4 times. All right, now here's why. Because of how the shame and denial portions of the cycle work, the worst day cycle, it takes us a long time to get into truth of who we are. And we can't see all of this. Plus, our brain is wonderful. It doesn't release all of our trauma and everything we need to work on immediately, be too much. It releases it, it's like peeling an onion in stages. And so we get through something, so it's just like the child on the coffee table. They take a step away and then they fall. And so then they're able to, walk, and they get a little bit older, they run, and then bam, they run into a tree like it's a big accident. Well, that's us too. We go through the exact same process. We get better at it, but we still fall. And that's why going through the classes repeatedly, what happens is we gain a deeper understanding of how to run faster, of how to run more efficiently. We become aware of what's going on in our body and the way it moves and how to place our foot when we step forward and all these subtle things in our recovery. It's not a one-time through process. Nothing in life is. Think of how long we had to practice writing to be able to do a 1-page essay. The same thing is for your recovery. This is a choice that I will no longer stay the child. I do not want to be an infant the rest of my life, stuck, replaying the worst day cycle, reliving my childhood trauma against me. Those consequences I cannot live with. I'm going to choose to learn how to become the parent for myself that my parents couldn't be for me. And I'm going to walk myself into maturity and moderation. I'm going to show myself how to get away from that coffee table. I'm going to show myself how to write a 1-page essay about my life that accepts that my recovery is substantial, it's never complete, that I am human and I am limited, and because I know those two truths, I am okay with everything not being okay. So there's the truth of it. I hope this brings you comfort. That's my goal. It's also truth. I want to be truthful with you. You're making a commitment to be mature and moderate and reach your full potential. Maybe you're not ready for that. I want you to honor that. If you want to stay the child for a while longer, good for you. There were times, I know my recovery so-called could have been faster, but I chose to stay the child at times. And that's okay. It was the best I could do. That is also part of the recovery journey. So I was taking time away from the coffee table and I go running back and hold on to it. No, let me stay the child. I don't want to deal with this responsibility. I don't want to take ownership of my life yet. I still want to play the victim a bit and get someone else to fix this. Can I just stay here? I don't want to do that work. And if you've read my book, you realize what I'm talking about. And for me, it was letting go of control. That was the one piece. The reason I could never get to the other side is I couldn't let go. I don't know what it'll be for you, but I know this. If you choose to take the journey and you stick with it, you'll find it, and you'll get to the other side of the hill. And I've never seen anybody who's taken that journey not come out feeling incredibly thankful and very, very proud of themselves. So, it's your choice. I trust you. I believe in you. You know what the right choice is for you. I urge you to take it, and when you take it and make that choice, as always, enjoy the journey.